Right, we are going to try and fix this TV. It is a Philips, I believe, 47-inch. As you can see, we've got other projects on the go, all at the same time. Look at that bad boy. But the first thing I'm going to do is attempt to fix this. No power whatsoever. So let's see what we can do. Right, what I was doing is I've started stripping, then I realised, hold on a second, I need to show you that it's not actually working. So I've taken the back cover off. What I want to do is just quickly plug it in, plug the power in, and show you that absolutely nothing happens. So there's no lights, there's no standby light, there's no nothing on it. So I'm guessing it's the power supply. TVs can be the easiest things in the world to fix, but they also can be very hard because you got the power supply board, you got the main board, you got the T-con board up there. And especially with the T-con board and stuff, they can just be, to try and fault find, an absolute nightmare. What you're best off doing is just replacing them because they're relatively cheap for the time and effort you're going to be putting into fault finding them. And depending on what's wrong with them, you know, well, it could just be a nightmare. But the power supply, on the other hand, is fairly easy to fault find. So let's see, am I right in thinking it's the power supply? Or is there another issue with it? This is the model number of the TV, 47-inch. And there we go. Right, so we're plugged in. We're going to switch on. It doesn't blow up, which is obviously a good sign. Do not touch anything on this at the back. You have a hot and cold side on the power supply and you will die. Anyway, so we have our switches here. And what we want to do is see, I'm not sure which side it is, but there should be a little power LED up here. There's no power LED, even a standby. If I press this, which is the power, absolutely nothing happens. So, no power whatsoever. Let's grab out this board and I'm going to show you how to discharge the capacitors so you can work on it safely. Right, be very careful, like I said, with power supplies. You have a hot and cold side. I've taken off some of the screws, so I want to take off everything else. This is for the backlights. Now I just got to take off a couple more screws. Couple more screws and we can grab out the board. There's lots of different ways of discharging capacitors. I've got one of these little boxes. The reason why I like these, I've also got some tweezers as well that you do it, but this actually physically shows you the voltage. Now this is the board. You can clearly see it should be marked. Where is it? It should be marked hot and cold side, secondary cold side and primary hot side. You can clearly see it there. So anything below this point is high voltage, anything above it isn't. Now you do have to be careful because technically even 220 volts isn't high voltage, and you've got 110 odd volts coming out for the backlights as well on the low side, so you do have to be careful. But under here is our high voltage capacitors, which, you know, depending on the TV, can be up to 450 volts. It's kind of it will pack a fair old punch. So what we need to do is, where is it? This here, them two there is our high voltage capacitor. You need to be bloody careful. Let me get this set up and see if there's any voltage. Try and do this one-handed. If there's any voltage, it's going to read up on the display and it will discharge it for me. So let me try and do this one hand. It's going to be quite difficult. I need to get these in line. Oh, yeah. It read, I didn't see what it read. It read 40 odd volts, I think, before obviously it went down. Maybe it read a bit more. Hopefully you saw that on camera. Now, this board is safe to work on. Right, it was a T40 screws that was holding this board on. But what we've got to do now is we've got to find the hot side and we've got to find the fuse because, like I said, I can't see anything obvious on this board. Nothing is standing out at the minute. The caps all look good. You know, even the main cap looks good. There's no bulges or anything in it, so nothing obvious stands out. But what we got to do is we got to figure out what is going on. And to be fair, most of the times it's quite easy. What you would see on the hot side is these trannies blow.
That's what she said.
But I mean, they can blow in a bad way. Not all the time, but they can physically, literally blow up, and you can obviously see that. But if they do, our main fuse is going to be gone. So the first thing I'm going to do is check our main fuse. If our main fuse hasn't gone, I can kind of forget about, within reason, I can kind of forget about the hot side. Just, you know, it's not all the time, but most of the time. You can see we've got our bridge rectifier here. So essentially what happens is DC comes in, our bridge rectifier rectifies it to DC, and then our cold side converts it to 12 volts or whatever voltage it happens to be. We're going to have 12 volts, you might have 5 volts, you're going to have 100 odd volts here for the backlights. It just depends on your power supply and, you know, what model of TV you've got. But you're going to have normally, you know, 12 volts, 5 volts in and around that type of area. So your power comes in and then it essentially splits it to all the other different power supplies the board will need, and then physically turn on. So, like I said, if our fuse is good, we're going to go straight to our cold side. If not, we're going to check our trannies, and then we're going to essentially go from there. Also, you know, bridge rectifiers, they give problems as well. Diodes, they give problems. So, but nothing is spectacularly blown up. Now, sometimes when some things spectacularly blow up, it makes your life a bit easier, because you can clearly see, you know, a bulging cap. You can clearly see something has blown. But unfortunately, there is nothing that looks obvious at the minute. And again, on the back side of the board, nothing looks obvious. Nothing looks blown up. You can see a bit of heat coming up here, which I believe is going to be, yeah. So you can see it looks... That looks kind of bad, but I've seen that on a lot of TVs. Now, bear in mind, I really do not have a clue what I'm doing. I'm not nowhere near professional at this. I've just fixed a few things in the past, and we're going to give it a go. There's no guarantee I can fix this. There's no guarantee there's an issue with the board. It could be something else, but I'm just guessing, essentially. So don't go off what I'm doing. Do not work on main power supply boards, because they're bloody dangerous. You will die. This is just, you know, to see what I can basically do. So let's get cracking. So all I'm going to do is check my resistance of my fuse. If this thing beeps, then we know we've got continuity and our fuse is fine. If not, we know we've got an issue on the hot side. So let's hear the beep. Try and do this one-handed is awkward. Oh, do we have a beep or not? Oh yeah. There we go. Hope you can hear that. This thing is literally on its limit of being stretched out. There we go. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Just stretch it out a little bit more. This really is only designed for, you know, small components. That's kind of really pushing it. So we can screw this back now, and yeah, check on the cold side. I just had a quick look on the other video I did, and when I actually put the discharger on the cap, even though the TV never turned on, as you could see, I was pressing a button, no light, no nothing. It was still for a second over 240 odd volts. I think that's what I saw on it. So, you know, it is amazing. But anyway, now we've got to look at the cold side. So, there is another machine we can also get, which I do have, to test the LED backlights, but I'm not doing that because we do not have any picture. We don't have anything. We have absolutely zero. Now, normally you would do that if you put a flashlight up against the TV and you can see a picture with a flashlight. That will normally indicate your backlights are bad. So again, I'm not looking there. What I tend to look for with something like this is, when I can't see anything obvious, is diodes. Diodes are the things that normally give problems. So we've got a couple of diodes here. Our caps look good. Everything else kind of looks good, so I'm just going to concentrate at the minute on our diodes. Now we do have diodes on the hot side as well, but like I said, with our fuse being good, I'm not interested in our hot side. So I'm going to go straight for these diodes here. Also be careful, I've seen on certain TVs that you can have multiple diodes. Now these diodes are going to be connected together, so if we look on here and we turn the board around, yeah, you can clearly see that these are connected together. So I've also seen some when they're normally in fours. Now again, look, I'm no expert, so don't go off this, but normally you get more than two together. But further down the line, you can't test them like I'm about to test them, because they're actually in series with some resistors and stuff, so they test a bit funny. These ones look to be kind of on their own. I don't see anything really on there, which is good. I see a cap on the same line. There is a resistor there, but it's only one resistor. So you just see it there. Look, there's the resistor and the cap. So we should be able to read these kind of normally, and just think of diodes as a switch essentially, because that's what they are. They allow electricity one way and not the other. That's really essentially it. Right, so with my little machine, I'm on diode mode, so I'm just going to put them in here and we should see a voltage. Oh, open circuit. Hear that beep? Oh, yeah, open circuit. Turn it around the other way. Yeah. And yep. Right, essentially what you should be seeing is on one way it should be open circuit, but no beep. This was beeping. It should be open circuit with no beep. And then the other way you should be reading the voltage. We were open circuit and full. Just turn that off because it's bloody beeping and it's annoying. We were, you know, basically it's just open circuit. It's completely, there's nothing stopping it. It's just reading like almost like a fuse basically. So I'm guessing it's going to be one of them diodes. Normally it's only going to be one diode and not two diodes because they're both connected. That's why we are reading a short between both of them, where it actually isn't. So that's only going to be one shortage. What you can do is, and I could do it, but I'm not going to do it because maybe not everyone has it. And once you know the voltage, now this is the reason why I don't really want to do it, because if you don't know the voltage, what's supposed to be going out, but you can essentially inject voltage into them and you should see one of them glowing. Then you need a thermal imaging camera. Again, I have a thermal imaging camera, but not everyone does, so you don't really need to do it. We've clearly got that there is an issue with one of them, so we're going to just replace them. But do I have diodes to replace them? What I'm going to have to do first is take them off and see which diodes they are and what I've got to replace them. Or do I have to order some? Right, I can't find my pliers, so I'm going to use my nail clippers to clip that and see, you know, which one's shorted. Now that's disconnected from the system. Just let me get something in there just to lift it up. So what we can now do is we can now test it again to see which one is shorted. Right, so let's get the one that's cut. What's it do? Oh, there we go. That's the shorted one. And then this one is not beeping and it's building voltage. Well, it was. There we go. So there we go. That is, technically there's only one that's gone. I'm going to replace both of them. Well, I say I'm going to replace both of them. It depends on what I've got here. If I've only got one. But there is a chance now I could actually plug that in and this will work. It doesn't necessarily need both of them, but I'm going to replace it anyway. But there is a good chance that this will work plugging it back in now, believe it or not. But let's take that off completely and see what it is and see if I've got some. Right, SB260. So in other words, this is going to be a 2 amp 60 volt diode. So Yeah, let's see what I've got. At the minute, I'm still not very well organized. All my stuff is all in here, and it's all absolutely all over the place. God knows, I know I've got diodes in one of these things. Oh, is that some? Oh, that's some. What are they? Oh, they don't look right. No, they're not right. Bagger. What are they? Anyway, let me look. I don't think they're right. Let me look. I've actually got some. So, and when you're testing these aren't what you'd class as a conventional diode. I don't believe they are. They're a Schottky diode. So the voltage is slightly different. So just bear that in mind. They're still a diode, so they're still a one-way switch, but they're not like a normal conventional diode. I can't remember off the top of my head the leaving voltage. I think I can't remember because, like I said, look, I'm no expert in this. I just know they are slightly different. Like 1.7 volts to the power of the load. I can't remember. I just know, look, I know that these are slightly different. Like I said, I'm no expert. Do not copy me. I literally don't know what I'm doing. This channel of me repairing stuff is literally me not knowing what I'm doing. I just want to show you, look, someone as stupid as me, if I can fix it, you know, anyone can fix it. So anyway, these are the ones I've got. These are the ones I'm using. We're going to desolder this other one out of here, and we're going to put them in, and we're going to see if it switches on. Hey, this could still blow up when I switch it on. I mean, literally blow up. We are going to find out together. I don't have my proper soldering iron, and I don't have my camera mount set up properly yet, so I can't really show you me desoldering these. But all I'm going to use is this solder wick, and I'm just going to put it on here and just wick it off with solder wick. That really is it. I might add some normal solder just to lower the melting temperature slightly, so some leaded solder I might just put in there. But unless I can figure a way how to mount the camera, let me see if I can figure a way. Right, this isn't great, I know, and the camera's now in my way to do this kind of anyways nicely, but let's see if we can get any of these off. Or maybe do we have to put a little bit of flux in, or do we have to add a little bit of solder to it just to help. Oh no, it should be alright. It's doing something. Hopefully that got it all. Right, you can see what I'm doing, because I might have to take this camera off because I really can't get to this properly. The camera is in my way. You can see what I'm doing with the solder wick. So just let me get all that off properly, then I can turn the camera back on. Right, there we go, we've got them off. Now on any diode you'll see a ring, a silver ring around one end of it, and you can see that same kind of ring on the board there. So we need to get that in the same place or the same alignment as the board, because otherwise you'll do damage. So we'll just push that through there. That's that one. We'll bend the back legs at the back of it just to stop it from moving, make it a bit easier for us. Go slow like that. Then we get the other one in, and we'll do the same thing and solder it from the back. Ah, two diodes are in place. Turn the board round, flick these legs just to stop it from falling. So flick them legs back like that. It just kind of lets you hold it there itself. Right, they are in place. I'm using Kessler solder, and I'm going to use this flux because it's the only one I've got to hand at the minute. Kind of better than nothing at the minute. So we now, again, I haven't got my proper soldering iron, but just goes to show you really don't need it, especially for something like this. Anyway, this is very simple repair. This so awkward to do this with the camera the way it is. They're nice joints. Come on. I can't wait to get my setup done properly. So my camera's set up properly and I'm not working around the camera, because at the minute it's bloody difficult. Right, there we go. I'm going to use our nail cutters to cut off the legs. Now, is our repair going to work, or is it going to blow up? Let's find out. It's all back in. There is the two components we replaced. Here is the plug in my hand. The extension lead is now switched off, so I need to press that button. Then we should have a standby light, or it's going to blow up. I don't know. So I'm going to press the button, but I'm going to point the camera towards here, see what happens. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Well, so far we haven't blown up. Oh, yeah! Now, I should be able to press this and it should turn on. Oh, maybe we still have another problem. Ah, we still have another problem. Or do we? Oh no! Did I turn it off? On. Who? Is it turning on? Volume? Is that on or off? Or do we have an issue because that light's flashing? Let me just make sure I've got everything connected in properly. I've just pushed all the connections back in. So I took them out and put them back in. So let's just power it on. So I press the button. I can see it's changed the back. Oh, here we go. So see, the back lights have come on. Ah, there we go. Awesome. Let me just volume up and volume down. Oh yes. And then if we press source, what comes up? Ah, there we go. Awesome. Right, TV is fixed. Nice. And it even says at the bottom, no video signal, because obviously nothing is plugged into it. But it now works. So very, very simple, this one. They're not all the time that simple. Well, I say that. I mean, I've only repaired a handful of TVs, but when it's power supply issues, I found they are normally quite simple to repair. T-con boards and stuff like that, what you'd normally find is it's just best to replace them because they're so cheap to buy than to try and fault find it, because everything's really small on them and they're a bit of a nightmare. And there's a lot of chips and ICs and all sorts on them. There is a couple of little things you can do. You can normally, I haven't seen this one, but normally there is two like ribbon cables, and you can take off one ribbon cable at a time to test if half the TV comes on, to see if it's one side shorting on the board. And there's a few little tricks you can do, but Power supply issues and TVs seem to be relatively easy. Everything else is quite difficult, to be honest. Right, well, we've kind of fixed it, but it's very scratchy. You can see the picture is horrible. It seems to kind of be okay over there, but as it's getting over here, it's a lot worse. So, we've got another repair video coming up. I think I know what it is, but answers down below what you think it may be. And yeah, part 2 coming up soon. Boom. Right, unfortunately there's not going to be a part 2 because all I really did, this is the T-con board, this is the wire connecting it to the main board. I unplugged it, plugged it back in, unplugged it, plugged it back in. It could have got tweaked because, you know, as you're lifting the telly up and down, you know, because it can move quite a lot, it can tweak and slightly come out of position. That's all I did. And as soon as I did that, turn it back on. Oh, move my hand out there. Look at the picture now. Absolutely perfect. So that's all it was. So no part 2, but at least we definitely know we got the TV fixed and there's no other issue. Boom, sorted. Right, just a last check for the... Oh, is it going to go to the corner? Come on. Oh, no, it doesn't, unfortunately. It never does. Believe me, I've watched it for hours. I wonder, last check, does the remote work? So I'm going to simply turn it off. Boom! Awesome! It works. And the red button stays on. Now, like I said, I don't know if I explained it very well in the beginning, but that red button was just, when you plugged it in, that red light just wasn't there. There was just nothing. So, yeah. There we go. It works. Awesome. And the remote works. So at least you know once the remote works and everything works, you know that you haven't maybe accidentally done something or hit something. Because it does happen when you're repairing stuff. But as you can see, it's back on. We don't need it on. Oh, there we go.